YouTube, hey, it's Sean at Griffin RC Planes. Today is Sunday, November 28th. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Well, what have I been up to with RC this past week? The UMX pits that we were talking about, how I'm going to try to figure out a way to put a safe select on it. I haven't done anything with that except for get the program up, downloaded up and running on that older laptop I had to get just to download those drivers and stuff. Man, that program has got 10 plus years old. So I haven't done anything with that. But this plane here, my SIG EDGETRA, it's a cross between an Edge 540-ish and an Extra 300. They call it an EDGETRA. It's a hybrid, a cross between the two of those planes. What I've done last night, matter of fact, was rebuilt the motor in this plane. I replaced the bearings. And if you ever come across a motor that has noisy bearings and or it's been in an accident and it spins a little rough and you can just kind of hear it, or your motor starts to sound like that after time, you can replace the bearings in these things for nearly next to nothing. You just got to be careful on what bearings you buy, and I'll show you the ones you need to get. And also, I'll show you as well that I had to get some shims because the size bearing was kind of hard to come by, but you can buy a shim to make up the difference. And I'll show you that here in a minute too. But as far as the pits goes, I'll work on that this week. And let me show you guys these bearings. Hey guys, I don't know how good you can see this, but this is that software for the UMX pits receiver. There's not a whole lot to it. If you have any experience with it, let me know. But we'll see what I can come up with. Let's take a look at these bearings here. Let me tell you the difference. Alright guys, here's these bearings. Man, there's two types of bearings that I've recently learned about. They're sealed and shield. What I've figured out is the shield bearings are not made for high RPM. I've installed a set of those and the motor still sounded noisy and loose. And I don't know how good we can get a zoom here, but this is the shield. And you can kind of see it like a perforated edge almost, with how the right on the inside ring here. Anyways, stay away from shield. And you want sealed. And let me give you an example here real quick. This bearing on the back here measured 13 millimeters wide, 4 millimeter thick, and it has a 5 millimeter shaft. The one on the other side here was 11 millimeters wide by 5 millimeters thick with a 5 millimeter shaft. Now I couldn't find bearings this size really anywhere convenient. I got all of my bearings from Amazon. They were delivered the next day. I think it was 10 of them for $7. But I was so happy with the bearings that are 13 millimeters wide that I got in touch with the same company for the ones on the back for these here. And remember, 11 millimeter by 5.5. Well, the 5 millimeter thick, 11 wide, those bearings aren't really readily available. I really couldn't find them anywhere. But what they told me is for these bearings, they'll send you a bag of shims to go with it. So it needed to be 5 millimeters thick, but the bearing was 4. Each shim is 0.5 millimeters thick. So I used 2 shims and the bearing equaled 5 millimeters thick. Well, then you're thinking, oh my goodness, you lost 1 millimeter thickness of bearing. Is that going to be sufficient? And yes, it's going to be sufficient. Remember this one here was only 4 millimeters thick. So, and we just did, instead of 5 and 4, we did 4 millimeters and 4 millimeters plus the 2 shims. And I built other motors that the thicknesses were only 4. So I think this particular motor being 5mm thick. I think the company kind of did that to make it hard for people to rebuild them, and that's why other people came up with shims. The reviews were awesome, and I strongly agree. So in the motor on the EDGETRA, which is very similar to this one, I've got the bearing with 2 shims in the other one, and that motor sounded almost better than brand new today. So hey, remember sealed, not shield, and don't be afraid of these shims. I got them from Amazon for god dirt cheap, you know, for $8 for 10 for each of them. Say that's 16 bucks. You can rebuild 10 motors for that amount, and that is so much better than, you know, buying a new motor. If you guys want me to do a video on the whole rebuild process, let me know. And also, hey, like and subscribe and share. That would be fantastic. And until next time, have a great week, happy flying, and I'll give you an update on the pits. Thank you.